Have you noticed how some people seem to stack up wealth effortlessly while others grind non-stop and can't get ahead? The reality is that the rich follow a financial blueprint most of us never see. Today, I'm lifting the veil on its most powerful chapters. You're about to learn the 10 biggest money drains that quietly suck your resources and lock you into the income treadmill. These aren't just poor investments, they're sneakily disguised status purchases that destroy your net worth. Even Warren Buffett has highlighted this truth. The wealthiest didn't necessarily earn vastly more. They simply avoided these exact traps that most people fall into without a second thought. Each of these wealth killers is engineered to channel your cash into someone else's wallet. Stick around for the final one. It's the craftiest of all and might be sitting in your driveway right now. Let's expose these financial landmines that are killing your chance to build real wealth. Brand new cars. Watching your money vanish as soon as the engine fires up? That intoxicating new car vibe is hard to resist. But the moment you roll off the dealer's lot, your ride loses 15% of its value. That's like throwing $6,000 out the window before you even get home. Over the first 5 years, more than 50% of its worth disappears. A $40,000 vehicle can be under $20,000 half a decade later. And if you financed it, you're still paying interest on the original price, often pushing your total cost above $50,000. The ultra-wealthy rarely fall for this. Even billionaire Warren Buffett drove a pre-owned Cadillac. They know cars are liabilities, not appreciating assets. True wealth comes from holdings that grow in value, not depreciate. Here's the smarter play. Shop for a model that's 2 to 3 years old with low mileage. A used Toyota Camry or Honda Accord delivers nearly identical performance and modern features, sometimes still under warranty, while you pocket savings of $10,000 to $15,000 up front. And if you insist on a brand new ride, run the numbers. That same $40,000 invested in a standard Poor's 500 index fund for 20 years would likely balloon to over $186,000. Is that fresh-off-the-lot thrill worth the trade? Timeshares, the contract you can't escape. Imagine owning your slice of vacation paradise that's yours every year. That's the seductive pitch of timeshares. The brutal reality? They rank among the worst investments you can make. It begins with a hefty down payment, often $20,000 or more. Then you're hit with annual maintenance fees starting around $800 and climbing to $2,000 or beyond each year. You pay those whether you use the unit or not. When you finally try to sell, you face a market flooded with desperate owners hawking their weeks for pennies or even offering to pay someone to take the deed. Take Robert from Miami, for example. He paid $30,000 for a Florida timeshare 5 years ago and couldn't fetch more than $15,000 when he tried to offload it. No buyers in sight. By contrast, financially savvy travelers simply rent accommodations when they want to get away. They enjoy the freedom to explore new destinations, stay in fresh, updated properties, and avoid any ongoing fees. Services such as Airbnb, VRBO, and hotel membership discounts deliver equal or even superior accommodations at a small fraction of the long-term expense. If you're already tied to a timeshare and feel trapped, there are firms that specialize in negotiating contract exits, though they do charge a fee. Remember, avoiding a bad commitment is always less costly than undoing one later. Before you sign any multi-year deal, ask yourself, am I preserving financial flexibility, or am I binding myself to an inflexible obligation? Now, let's expose the third wealth killer, designer clothing and accessories. Dropping $2,000 on a high-end handbag or $10,000 on a luxury watch might win you admiration, but too often people parading these status symbols are secretly underwater. They trade genuine buying power for a fleeting image of success. Meanwhile, many true millionaires keep it low-key. Just look at the tech billionaire in a simple grey t-shirt, or the legendary investor who still lives in his original home from 1958. They know that building income-producing assets always trumps showing off. Here's the hard math. A $500 pair of shoes doesn't just cost $500, it carries an opportunity cost. Invest that sum in a broadly diversified fund averaging 8% per year, and you'd see it grow to more than $20,300 in 2 decades. Charge it on a credit card at 18% annual interest, and the real bill could easily double. That doesn't mean you must shun quality or beauty forever. It's all about timing and scale. Wealth builders follow an assets-first approach. They establish a solid investment base before splurging. A practical rule of thumb is this: if a luxury purchase exceeds 1% of your total net worth, you're probably buying it too soon. If you love designer labels, consider smarter routes. Authentic resale marketplaces offer genuine pieces at deep discounts, and clothing rental services let you sport premium brands without the full price commitment. At least in those cases, you receive something tangible rather than just an illusion. Number 4. Lottery and gambling, the so-called tax on hope. People voluntarily hand over money despite astronomically low odds of a payoff. You're more likely to be struck by lightning, about 1 in 500,000, than to win the national jackpot, roughly 1 in 292 million. Imagine filling a major arena with people and selecting a single winner. Your chances would still be higher than hitting the lottery. The average individual spends about $400 a year on lottery tickets. That might not feel like much, but if you invested that same amount monthly in an index fund yielding 8% on average, in 30 years you'd accumulate well over $50,000. Take Sarah in Ohio. After adding up her lottery expenses over 12 years, she realized she'd blown through $15,000 on tickets, yet her biggest prize never exceeded $50. Watch how the ultra-wealthy play instead. They skip tiny gambles and place calculated stakes on businesses, real estate, and the stock market arenas where the odds tip in their favor. They know true wealth is built through consistent, disciplined choices, not one-off windfalls. If you feel that itch to bet, carve out a small fun fund within your entertainment budget, no more than 1 to 2% of your disposable income. That way, you can scratch the occasional gambling itch without jeopardizing your future. Even better, channel that impulse into investing. Apps like Acorns or Robinhood make putting money to work as thrilling as a wager, but with vastly superior long-term returns. Our next wealth destroyer moves at warp speed compared to gambling's slow drain. It's lurking in nearly 40% of American wallets right now. 5th on the list, credit card debt, your number 1 financial adversary. That slender piece of plastic in your pocket can sap your future faster than almost anything else. With average annual interest around 20%, any balance you carry is like a black hole, swallowing your potential. Imagine a $5,000 balance on your card and only making minimum payments. It can take over 15 years to clear and cost you more than $10,000 in interest. It's as if you're buying everything at twice the sticker price. Just ask Dave in Boston. His $7,000 tab on furniture and electronics ballooned to more than $16,000 after years of minimum-only payments. Here's what banks won't advertise. They love it when you pay just the minimum. That $25 or $35 requirement. It's engineered to keep you trapped in debt while they collect sky-high interest and effortless transfer of wealth from your pocket to theirs. Financially savvy people use credit cards differently. They treat them like reward engines, air miles, cashback perks, fraud protection, yet pay the entire balance every month without fail. That flips a potential debt trap into a money-making tool. Some cards even deliver 2% or more back on every purchase, but only if you never carry a cent of interest. If you're already sinking under credit card bills, there's a clear escape route: the avalanche method. Focus on eliminating the card with the highest interest rate first, while making minimum payments on the rest. Once the top balance is gone, roll that payment into the next highest rate card, and so on, creating a powerful snowball effect. Personal finance trackers can map out your payoff plan and keep you on track as you watch those balances disappear. While credit card debt is an obvious destroyer, the sixth threat often masquerades as a stepping stone to success, a costly credential that locks millions of Americans into decades of payments long after graduation. Overpriced diplomas that deliver little value. The old advice, get a college degree, land a stable job, is quickly losing its impact. With the average price tag for a 4-year degree climbing past $100,000, students too often graduate without any job guarantees yet carry debt burdens that can last for decades. In the United States, the typical student loan balance reaches $37,000, and in certain fields that figure can soar above $100,000. The real issue, depending on your major, is that starting salaries are so low it becomes nearly impossible to chip away at that debt in a reasonable time frame. Take Jennifer's story. She finished a visual arts program with $60,000 in loans and accepted a first-year salary of just $32,000. 5 years later, she still owed more than she did on graduation day. It's not education itself that's flawed, but the huge gap between cost and payoff. Financially savvy individuals always weigh the return on investment before committing to any program. They ask, will this credential genuinely boost my earnings? Is there another route to this career? Can I gain these skills more affordably? Smart alternatives are multiplying. Intensive certification courses in fields like information technology, web development, or data analysis often cost under $10,000, yet open doors to entry-level positions starting at $60,000 or more. 2-year colleges deliver core coursework at a tiny fraction of a university's price. Affordable online courses can be found for just a few $100s instead of thousands. If you're exploring higher education, dive into the data. Use salary comparison sites and government labor statistics to see typical earnings by profession and degree level. Compare programs, consider starting at a community college before transferring, and hunt down scholarships, federal grants, or employer tuition reimbursement plans to slash your out-of-pocket costs. After all, education remains one of the few investments that directly enhances your own skills and future potential. But the seventh way people bleed money is even more confounding, sinking cash into luxury items they rarely use, that constantly lose value and generate extra headaches. Boats, vacation homes, and other high-end toys are financial black holes dressed up as status symbols. There's an old adage in the boating world: a boat owner's 2 happiest days are the day they buy it and the day they sell it. Behind that joke is a harsh reality. A $50,000 boat can tack on another $5,000 to $10,000 each year for maintenance, insurance, storage, fuel, and repair sand, then spend more than 90% of its life sitting idle. Consider Mike from Tampa. He purchased his dream boat for $65,000 but only used it 8 days a year, effectively paying nearly $2,000 for each outing. Meanwhile, financially sharp people take a different tack. They rent the experience instead of owning the headache. Why shell out $50,000 on a boat when you can rent one for $400 to $600 a day on the few occasions you actually want to sail? Rental services deliver all the fun without the year-round financial drain. Do the math. That $50,000 boat, plus 10 years of upkeep, at $5,000 per year, amounts to $100,000. If you'd invested that sum in an exchange-traded fund, averaging 8% annual returns, you'd have about $215,000 after the same period. Ask yourself whether a weekend retreat on the lake really justifies $115,000 of your future earnings. If you're drawn to high-end experiences, use the 5% principle. If the annual upkeep on any luxury purchase tops 5% of your after-tax income, you probably can't afford it. Instead, look into fractional ownership or membership clubs that let you enjoy the perks without taking on the full cost. Now consider a far more insidious wealth killer: whole life insurance. It's sold as both protection and an investment, yet it does a poor job on both fronts while fattening someone else's wallet. In reality, you're buying pricey permanent coverage alongside a low-performing investment. Permanent policies can cost 5 to 10 times more than term insurance for the same death benefit. For example, a 45-year-old man seeking $500,000 of coverage might pay $400 a year for a 20-year term plan, but about $4,000 a year for whole life. That extra $3,600 each year could be fueling far better returns elsewhere. In those early years, nearly every premium dollar disappears into fees and commissions. After 10 years, you might have contributed $40,000, only to see $30,000 in cash value. Take James from Ohio, cashed out after 8 years, received less than he paid in, and watched his agent pocket a hefty commission. Savvy investors choose a leaner path. Buy term insurance. During the years you need true protection when you have dependent children or a mortgage, and invest the savings in broad-based index funds or exchange-traded funds, such as a total stock market or S&P 500 fund, or in tax-advantaged retirement vehicles like 401k plans and individual retirement accounts. If you already own whole life and are having second thoughts, you still have options: a partial surrender, a policy loan, or a tax-deferred exchange known as a 1035 exchange into an annuity or a more efficient policy. Seek help from a fee-only financial planner, not a commission-driven salesperson, for unbiased guidance. We've covered several costly mistakes so far, but the 9th stealth wealth destroyer might already be draining your wallet: the relentless push to upgrade gadgets, apparel, or gear that still work just fine. This marketing machine convinces millions to spend thousands each year on marginal improvements they barely notice. High-end gadgets and never-ending upgrades. That new iPhone looks awesome, right? A slightly enhanced camera, a marginally faster chip compared to last year's. But here's the deal: tech companies don't want you to see that the difference in daily experience between two releases rarely justifies a price tag of $1,000 or more. Marketing makes your perfectly functional device seem outdated before it even fails. Apple, Samsung, and their rivals have mastered perceived obsolescence. They don't need your phone to break. They just need you to believe it's obsolete. And we keep falling for it, year after year. The numbers add up. Upgrading your smartphone every single year can cost you over $12,000 in 10 years. Hold on to your phone for 3 to 4 years instead, and you could pocket around $6,000 to $8,000 in savings over that span. Take Robert in Denver. He calculated that he poured more than $14,000 into iPhone upgrades over the past decade. If he had invested that money in a broad market index fund, it could have grown to over $20,000. Savvy tech users stick to a simple principle: keep using your current device until it truly no longer serves your needs, not until the next shiny model drops. Even Warren Buffett used the same basic flip phone for years while building his fortune. When you do need an upgrade, think strategically. Last year's devices often drop in price by 30 to 40% once the newest model arrives. Certified refurbished devices come with manufacturer warranties at a fraction of the cost. For laptops, upgrading the memory or swapping in a solid-state drive can breathe fresh life into a machine for just $100 to $200 instead of spending $1,500 on a brand new rig. Now let's look at the biggest financial trap disguised as the happiest purchase of your life: a wedding. The wedding industry has convinced many couples to spend a small fortune on a single day, leaving them with long-term debt. Despite the average wedding in the United States topping $30,000, the price tag on rings, flowers, and a DJ has no real bearing on how happy or lasting your marriage will be. Studies actually show that couples who spend less on their celebration tend to have stronger marriages. Consider Jennifer and Michael from Boston. They chose an intimate ceremony for $5,000 and put the $25,000 they saved toward their first home. 5 years later, that property has appreciated significantly. And if you took $30,000 and invested it at age 30 with an average annual return of 8%, by age 65 you'd have over $450,000. Is that $500,000 of future wealth really worth trading for a few hours of floral arrangements and a DJ? Financially smart couples are redefining what an unforgettable wedding looks like, one that marks a new chapter without mortgaging their future. They emphasize substance over showmanship, swapping grand spectacle for authentic moments. Opting for a weekday ceremony and a reception in an unexpected venue, think public parks or museum galleries, plus sending e-invites and keeping decor minimal can slash costs by 50% while preserving that once-in-a-lifetime feeling. Kick off your wedding planning by setting a firm spending cap before booking anything. The cardinal rule is no more cash outlay than you can cover in hand, ensuring your long-term financial targets stay intact. Leverage free wedding budgeting apps with built-in expense trackers to maintain control over every dollar. Identify and neutralize the biggest budget-busting traps lurking in typical wedding plans. Remember, most folks obsess over appearing wealthy, but you have the strategy to cultivate genuine financial strength. Your future self depends on the smart money moves you make right now.